going to ask everybody. I know there's some, I know there's some great conversations going on. We're going to have a lot of good networking time at the end of the program, but we do want to kind of move towards the second batch of companies as well. So if I can ask everybody to take their seats so we can get going. And by everyone, I mean the people who are talking around the outside piece, who are not listening to me. Don't make me play the walk-up music again. I'll do it. I'll do it louder this time. All right. So before we get started with the next 10 companies that we have presenting, I just want to talk a little bit, make some announcements and talk a little bit. I don't think we can have this kind of an event with what's going on here and not talk about Hurricane Harvey and what happened here in Houston. And we all have seen the pictures. We all lived through this. It was unbelievable devastation. I mean, thousands and thousands of people affected. Many of you here were affected in some way. Loss of cars, loss of houses, your neighbors, your family, you yourselves. People on our team and staff lost houses. Entrepreneurs in Houston were greatly affected as well. And it was really just unbelievable, not just the devastation, but even more unbelievable was the recovery efforts, right? Watching everybody come together, rescuing people, going boats. I think they were called the Cajun Navy, right? Going down and house by house and rescuing people and bringing them help and getting them safe and ultimately the recovery efforts, the cleanup that had to occur. I mean, this is like a before and after the Texas Medical Center. How the medical center responded, right, in terms of making sure that the patients were able to get the care that they needed, that no sort of loss or decrease in the care that they were getting, the ones in the hospitals, the doctors and nurses that hung through there for 5 straight days with no breaks and sort of literally weathered the storm, so to speak, and making sure that the people who needed medical attention because of Hurricane Harvey were able to get there as well. Really just the entire thing was absolutely remarkable. Our team as well, my team, which I'm super proud of, and the companies in our cohort, we spent a lot of time as well volunteering, going house by house, as many of you did, pulling out drywall, pulling out carpet. It was, just absolutely amazing and humbling, and it's just so sad just to see the loss. A couple of the houses we were in where those folks lost literally everything. A 70-year-old woman who had been in that house her entire life, raised her kids, and we were taking out mementos and pictures and prom dresses and all of that stuff that was just gone. And it was absolutely devastating. But again, amazing to see the strength of Houston, the strength of the people bonding together to help their neighbors, help their family, one house at a time, one person at a time, and really the speed, and it's going to take years, we know that, to really fully recover from this thing. But I have to say, just amazed at everybody coming together and really the speed of the recovery as well. And I think, we talk about Houston strong, you talk the effort, and I think these guys embraced it as well. Who would have thought Houston Astros, right? World Series champions, so it's great. But I want to bring to the stage a couple of people, talk about one of those efforts that came out of Hurricane Harvey, and something that is going to, I believe, last a very long time here in Houston and well beyond. And so I want to ask Blair Garou from Mercury Fund and Elena White to come up, talk about an effort that really came out of Harvey and where we're going with this. It's called Entrepreneurs for Houston. I'm going to ask Blair to talk a little bit more about that. Thanks, Blair.
Hey, thanks, Eric. So I was talking to a few people earlier, and I said, yeah, Eric and I are going to introduce a special guest. And they were like, who? Jose Altuve? Is he here? I said, no, not Jose Altuve. But someone that I think is going to have as much impact in this city as what the Astros just did. So I think a number of you have heard about Entrepreneurs for Houston. What happened during the wake of Harvey, like during the last few days of the rain coming down, is I think a number of us heard of our friends, right, who had bass boats, who were actually able to go out and help people. And those of us that don't have bass boats, I think we were sitting around looking after our own, but saying, how can we help? And so a number of us in the entrepreneurial community were on the phone talking. And we were hearing about some really inspirational stories about developers, about civic hackers, building applications, building AI bots, helping people in need basically be paired up with people that have resources. And so one day, John Reale, who runs Station Houston, and I were on the phone and said, look, I think we should get a few groups together to try to raise awareness, but raise funds for these individuals. Now, the other thing that was happening too, so for those of us in the investment community, we were getting hundreds of emails and calls from VCs, from entrepreneurs all over the world saying, are you okay? And how can we help? And one of the issues was there were so many different ways to give, probably 200 to 300 foundations who popped up in order to pull in philanthropic dollars. People were saying, we can't make sense of it. Who should we donate our funds to? So the groups down here, so ourselves, Sketch City, TMCx Station, Circular Board, the city, and the GHP got together, and we threw together a foundation called Entrepreneurs for Houston. So mission one was directing all that philanthropic support to one organization, and that was the Mayor's Relief Fund. Mayor Turner has become somewhat of the de facto leader of the entrepreneurial community over the past few years. He's been a great friend of TMCx and Station, so we wanted to support his efforts. And so what did we do? Well, a few of us placed a few dozen emails, calls, and interviews. I don't know how many of you read Dan Primack. He puts out a newsletter called The Term Sheet, and it's in a thing called Axios. And he did a great interview talking about all of these developers and how they were helping Houston and where people could give money. Economy did an article. We also talked to the Kauffman Foundation, NVCA, and everyone was sending out newsletters and emails. But last but not least, we sent an email out to YPO. And so YPO is a global organization of presidents and CEOs. And what Entrepreneurs for Houston was trying to do got put into 1,000 newsletters globally. And what that ended up doing is we were able to raise over $20 million for the Mayor's Relief Fund with a few dozen emails, which was a big chunk of that fund. And so with that, we launched the foundation, but we know we needed to do more. And so we went out and we recruited a great young person to kind of lead this effort. And with that, I'll hand it off to Elena White to talk about phase 2 of Entrepreneurs for Houston.
Thank you, Blair. So as Blair mentioned, the tech community, just like all Houstonians, stepped up in a big way in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. Some of the tools they developed, you can see their impact here. My first interaction with Entrepreneurs for Houston was a user of one of these tools. So 5 days after Harvey, I was looking for ways to help, and I found the Texas Muck Map. On this map, you could see houses that needed mucking, and you could mark yourself as a volunteer. I saw a bunch of houses in Northeast Houston, in the Aldine area. I went out and helped an elderly couple clean out their house. The next day, a friend and I said, hey, why are there no houses on the muck map in the 5th Ward in Kashmir Gardens? We know it's a hard-hit area. We know it's one of the neediest communities in Houston. So we went and we knocked door to door and got people signed up on the muck map. Now, a lot of the folks that we talked to in Kashmir Gardens were in crisis mode before the crisis hit. And I spent that night after I did that, unable to sleep, thinking of Margaret, a grandmother of 2 little kids who she cares for, who was wearing no shoes, had all of her things destroyed, and who had mental health issues. The next day, went and brought Margaret some food, and there were volunteers mucking out her house because we had placed her on the map. A couple days later, I was finally able to get out to my grandmother's house in West Houston, sent out a call for volunteers on the Texas Muck Map, and guess what? They showed up and they helped me. So, I really think that there's a great opportunity to continue to leverage the energy of the entrepreneurship community and technology community and all the folks around this room in the medical entrepreneurship community to continue to build solutions to reimagine Houston and our community. Well, that was not, okay, here we go. Okay, and so we started this foundation, and really we're trying to activate the most promising civic and tech social entrepreneurship projects to recover, rebuild, and reimagine Houston. I believe that we can, using technology and entrepreneurship, accelerate Houston's recovery. I believe that through engagement of the community and through leveraging all of our resources, including the ones around this room, we can reimagine our community and continue to reimagine the way that Houstonians and citizens interact with our government and social services organizations. And I believe that we can build Houston as a vanguard of civic and social technology and entrepreneurship that is known globally. If you're interested in being a part of this movement, either as an investor, please consider making us your philanthropic partner. If you're an entrepreneur or you have an idea, consider partnering with us to build out a solution that can help better our community. Thank you all.
So I thought that we really wanted to bring some awareness to what the entrepreneurial community has done. To just sort of put another point on it, what Blair was saying, it was amazing to see these apps pop up. I mean, these guys and gals were stuck in their houses and they were trying to, how do I help? And they're just building them. Like in 24 hours, MuckMap was out there, connecting people who wanted to donate their time and connecting to the people who needed those resources. And there's 3 more examples of apps that popped up within less than 48 hours and made that connection, again, between resources and people who needed them. And so we're really excited about E4H, the potential it has, not just for Houston, but being able to bring these tools out there nationwide when these disasters inevitably will hit again. So thank you guys very much. Thank you for everybody who's contributed to E4H. Okay, now on to the round 2 pitches. We've got 10 more companies, fantastic companies that are going to present here as well. And then we'll go right into the networking afterwards. So thank you all very much. Here we go.
At SonaHealth, we're developing a platform that combines 3D automated ultrasound with artificial intelligence and cloud computation for accessible and personalized breast health monitoring.
We have developed a fully functioning prototype, both on the hardware side, on the machine learning side. All the sensors, electronics are inside a small device that fits in the palm of your hands. And that device attaches to a positioning accessory that looks like a bra.
We are getting specificity and sensitivity close to 80%, but our hope is actually 90% and better.
How many of you know here someone who's been affected by breast cancer? Most of us do. While I was finishing my PhD at Stanford, my best friend's mom got diagnosed with late-stage breast cancer. And unfortunately, we lost her. This could have been prevented if the cancer was detected early. I'm Mariam, co-founder of SonaHealth, transforming breast cancer screening. 1 in 8 women you know will be diagnosed with breast cancer. That's 1.7 million women every year. It's been clinically proven that early detection is the key to better treatment and higher survival. A study by National Cancer Institute showed that detection of breast cancer in stages 0 and 1, when it's still localized to breast, is the key to 99% survival, versus only 25% survival at stage 4. Today's screening mammogram is for women over 50 every 2 years. First, millions of women don't have sufficient access. And second, the X-ray in mammogram doesn't work for half of women who have dense breasts. As a result, 1 in 3 cancers are missed at early stages. That's 1 in 3 missed. We need a better solution. We're combining automated ultrasound with artificial intelligence for accessible and personalized breast health monitoring. All the sensors and electronics are inside a small scanner that attaches to a positioning accessory that looks like a bra for repeatable imaging. Our AI can then monitor changes over time based on the patient's own baseline for the right diagnosis at the right time. We've already trained our AI algorithm with 10,000 images, and it helps identify abnormal masses in real time to help the physicians with a more accurate diagnosis. Our solution has no radiation. You get real-time actionable feedback with only 1 minute per scan, and it's so easy to use that can be used even by a non-trained operator. Our solution is safe and it's fast. We have already conducted a clinical pilot study with 100 patients showing that our system's accuracy is comparable to the current ultrasound systems being used in clinics. In going to market, we're starting with breast cancer clinics for diagnostic imaging of breast cancer patients and high-risk women. As we gain regulatory and clinical validation, we'll then grow to remote patient monitoring in outpatient clinics, corporate wellness programs, and eventually we envision our platform can be used at home for self-monitoring. Our pricing model, starting with clinics, is $1,000 per month or $50 per scan. Starting with high-risk women and breast cancer patients, it's already a $4 billion market. But our platform makes breast cancer screening accessible to over 100 million women, expanding the total addressable market to $20 billion. We've already built our ultrasound system, patented our technology, run pilot studies. Q1 of next year, we're running an IRB study, scaling up manufacturing, and by mid-next year, we expect our first 510(k) clearance and launch in clinics. Our competitors are manufacturers of low-cost portable ultrasound systems, as well as automated ultrasound systems that are big capital equipment. There's also breast monitoring specific devices and AI solutions. We combine the best of these four worlds in one platform that is automated, it's compact, it's empowered with our AI to expand the use of ultrasound in clinics as well as outside clinics. We have a rockstar team with a proven track record. Shadi here is our CTO, is a PhD from Carnegie Mellon in hardware. Milad is our chief data scientist with a PhD from Stanford. We also have clinical advisors from TMC and beyond, as well as business and technical advisors who are just as passionate as us in bringing this product to market. We have already formed key partnerships with Cleveland Clinic and Baylor College of Medicine. We've been funded by Y Combinator, and we got a grant from National Science Foundation SBIR program. Right now, we're raising a $3 million seed round, which will allow us to expand our team, scale up manufacturing, deploy our machine learning full scale in the cloud, as well as run clinical studies. And finally, get our 510(k) and launch in clinics. We're at SonaHealth. We're transforming breast cancer screening. Come see a demo here. Join us in building a great product that will save women's lives.
My name is Chris Stevens, founder of Replete Biotics. Our flagship device is a simple-to-use, single-use device that is able to blend and strain a fecal specimen, either for diagnostic or therapeutic purposes. The microbiome quality control project identified that variability in processing, storage, and collection is a critical gap in advancing the microbiome science. Our device brings standardization, brings cleanliness, and it brings efficiency. We're really eager for Replete Biotics to be a part of that process.
Witness to a revolution in healthcare. Today, we have the technical capabilities to read the genetic information that makes you uniquely human. But when we apply these capabilities to the multitude of microorganisms living on and in your body, collectively referred to as the human microbiome, an entirely new perspective of what it means to be healthy and human begins to emerge. The majority of these microorganisms are bacteria that live in our large intestine and play a critical role in breaking down the food we eat, producing essential vitamins and nutrients, orienting and controlling our immune system, and even fighting off unwanted bacteria. our capacity to uncover how the human microbiome interacts with our organ systems stands to revolutionize the way that we approach human health, disease detection and prevention, and even potential treatments. I became passionate about the microbiome because of patients like James. I had the honor of being James' nurse while he underwent a bone marrow transplant to treat his leukemia. Unfortunately, prior to being discharged from the hospital, James contracted a common, hospital-acquired intestinal infection called Clostridium difficile, or C. diff, an infection that would ultimately take his life. Several years later, when I was the nurse manager of the MD Anderson Leukemia Center, I read an article in the New England Journal of Medicine that discussed how up to 90% of the patients with this infection, just like James, were being treated and cured with a bacterial transplant called a fecal microbiome transplant. When I learned that access to this therapy was being limited by inefficient, unhygienic, and non-standardized specimen collection and processing techniques, I knew there had to be a better way. Today, it is as if we just discovered the importance of blood, but have not yet developed the vacutainers and blood bags we need to advance this revolutionary new frontier of medicine forward. It was with patients like James in mind that we developed the Replete G, a first-of-its-kind disposable device that brings the standardization, efficiency, and cleanliness that will be needed in order to advance this field forward. We are able to take what is currently a 1-hour laboratory process and can condense that down into less than 2 minutes while aiming to do an even better job protecting the oxygen-sensitive bacteria. We do this without the need for any expensive capital equipment. With the reimbursement code already in place, the Replete G aims to deliver on a promise of improving access to microbiome-based diagnostics and therapeutics. But treating infectious diseases like C. diff is just the tip of the iceberg for the microbiome. Because of the relationship to nutrient absorption and immune system regulation, today there are more than 150 active clinical trials investigating the role of the microbiome in illnesses impacting millions of Americans and costing our healthcare system billions of dollars. Over these last 3 months, Replete Biotics has had the opportunity to speak with representatives from each of the companies listed on this screen, who have all expressed an interest in either becoming a customer or a strategic partner to Replete Biotics. These are just some of the many companies making amazing advancements in the microbiome, and we are excited to provide them the tools they told us they needed. Replete Biotics is honored to have been an invited participant in the White House National Microbiome Initiative, to be a winner of a Bugs, Drugs, and Beyond Quickfire Challenge and resident in the prestigious Johnson & Johnson J Labs next door, and to be engaged in this TMCx medical device accelerator program, the finest accelerator program in the heart of the largest medical center in the world. Today, we have a fully functional prototype with an issued utility patent. We are in the process of laboratory validation, manufacturing, and initiating FDA clearance for our eventual therapeutic utilization. We are excited for 2018, where we anticipate product launch and revenue generation. My name is Chris Stevens. I'm the founder of Replete Biotics. We have excellent advisors and are currently seeking to expand our scientific advisory board and board of directors. We are looking for executives with experience bringing medical devices to market, financing of our seed round that will contribute to team growth and de-risking milestones, as well as collaborative grant opportunities. I look forward to talking to you and learning about your interest in joining us and being a part of this revolutionary new frontier of medicine. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
My name is Ryan Kuriakos. I'm the VP of Strategy and Business Development at Orphidia. We're developing a portable device which can run 40 lab tests in 20 minutes using only a drop of blood. What we've developed is a next generation microfluidic chip. So you're getting a drop of blood put into the chip, it goes into the machine, 20 minutes later you're gonna get those results at the point of care. So that's pretty revolutionary in terms of patients can actually get all the information that they want about themselves. When you talk about proactive patient health monitoring, our technology can make a huge difference in the lives of patients as well as customers. Orphidia is redefining the way that laboratory medicine is practiced today. My name is Ryan. I'm with Orphidia, and I'm excited to be here today to tell you about our company. Today, when we all go to the doctor and we're sick, there's one question that ultimately we all have to answer. What's wrong? What is wrong? The process today for lab testing is extremely cumbersome and leads to delays. This is especially alarming because 70% of medical decisions are based on diagnostics. Now, with Orphidia's solution, we want to change this. We see a world where you can conveniently get tested in your doctor's office and get those results immediately, leading to better patient visits as well as earlier treatment options. Orphidia is targeting the $60 billion in vitro diagnostics market, of which $20 billion is here in the United States. We will be working with physician offices where they will be able to use a single microfluidic chip and run up to 40 different lab tests on this chip. Patients would put a sample of blood on this chip and we put into the device. 20 minutes later, you get the results for both patients as well as physicians. Now, you can think of this as an app store for lab testing. Using our proprietary software, doctors can pick and choose the test that they want out of a common list of many tests that you see on the screen and provide those results to the patients while they're there at the office. In the future, we can scale this technology to include many different tests, such as infectious diseases, drug screening, as well as cancer diagnostics. As you can tell, we are uniquely positioned in the market. Unlike centralized labs where it takes multiple days for results, or traditional point-of-care companies where you can only run a handful of tests, Orphidia is the only solution where you can run a high number of tests fully automated so that anybody can run it. We can fit perfectly across the continuum of care. We are initially targeting specialist offices, but we see the scaling from general health and wellness all the way to the patient who can be treated at home. We have an excellent team with us here today. Besides myself and our CEO, Aaron, and our head of engineering, Henry, who's also here, we have experts in microfluidics, biology, as well as biosensor development. I'm happy to say our team has developed a functioning prototype today, which has been externally validated. Our next steps are to go to in-clinic pilots with partners that we have established today, such as UCLA Health, Geisinger Health System, and University of Chicago. After this, we will take this data and submit this to the FDA for a 510(k) submission, which we anticipate will be cleared by this time next year. We are here today at TMCx looking for clinical partners and operational partners who are excited to work with us and excited about our vision. We're looking for partners who want to work with us on pilots as well as usability testing. Additionally, we are looking for investors to help us close our current round, of which I'm happy to say we have already closed 80%. We'll be in the back right over there. We are Orphidia, and we are redefining the patient lab experience. Thank you.
My name is Werner, and I'm the founder of Vitals. And with Vitals, we're developing a platform that enables healthcare providers to continuously and remotely monitor their patients' vital signs. It's unobtrusive, it's very thin. We built a ton of sensors into the device, temperature sensors, PPG sensors, accelerometers. We monitor body temperature, pulse, RR intervals, respiration rate, blood oxygen levels, sleep and movement. Hospitals that implement a contact-free or continuous monitoring platform can save up to $20,000 per annum per bed. What we would like is to run our pilots with TMC hospitals and then commercialize our device.
I'm living in that 21st century, doing something mean to it. Do it better than anybody you ever seen. Do it scream from the haters, got a nice ring to it. I guess every superhero need his theme music. No one man should have.
Meet my son MJ, who suffered from febrile seizures. This means that my wife and I had to take turns to sleep in his room at night when he was sick, to constantly monitor his temperature. We did this because we couldn't find a way to continuously and remotely monitor his temperature that would alert us at the early onset of a fever. Had we not done this, his seizures could have resulted in permanent brain damage, or worse, even death. I'm Werner, co-founder of Vitals. In discussing this with our pediatrician, we determined that continuous monitoring is not only important in the home setting, it is also important in hospitals. In fact, in US hospitals, 75% of adverse events and preventable deaths occur outside the ICU in unmonitored beds. A recent study conducted by Harvard estimates that hospitals could save up to $20,000 per bed each year should they implement a continuous monitoring solution. And statistics from CMS show that 26,000 deaths over the span of 2 years were directly related to failure to detect a critically important deterioration. So we've developed a platform that enables healthcare providers to continuously and remotely monitor their patients' vital signs. We do this with an innovative little device that monitors body temperature, pulse, RR intervals, respiration rate, pulse ox, sleep, and movement, including fall detection. The device itself is thin, unobtrusive, flexible, is waterproof, it has a 6-day battery life, and is disposable. The data we collect is sent via our cloud platform directly into the EMR. It can also be sent to any connected device. Our beachhead market is inpatient pediatrics, of which there are 8 million admissions every year in the US. After that, we plan to roll out into the rest of the hospital with 69 million admissions annually, and that represents a $6 billion market opportunity for us. We've also been approached about uses for our device in other areas, like pre-op and post-op, chronic care, as well as elderly monitoring outside of the hospital. We provide a complete monitoring solution that provides healthcare staff with a complete status of a patient's condition. Our competitors monitor a limited number of parameters, and they usually focus on a single specialty, for example, cardiac telemetry. We are also the first continuous and remote vital signs monitoring solution for pediatric patients. With $420,000, we've managed to de-risk our business significantly. We have iterated on our prototypes up to final device development. We have tested our adhesives, developed our software, and we've also filed strong patents that protect our methods as well as our technology. We recently finished manufacturing of our final devices. In fact, we have some at our stand, if you can swing by afterwards. We've also set up a clinical trial with 63 in-hospital pediatric patients, and we've been invited to pilot in an oncology unit. I founded and recently exited a company that operates out of 116 countries with revenues of about 30 million pounds. Louise has a decade worth of experience in financial management and strategic planning, and Dane's experience at NASA has been pivotal in the development of our game-changing technology. We've also built a very strong advisory board with great people from Welsh Allen, Nike, Google, Fitbit, Nest, as well as Texas Children's. We're raising $1 million, of which we've received 200,000 already. That will take us through our regulatory approvals, clinical trials, up to product commercialization. We're also in discussions with Texas Children's and MD Anderson with regards to pilots, and we're looking for more in local Houston hospital systems. And then we're looking to build out our clinical advisory board with physicians who specialize in pediatric hospital medicine. Thanks. We're Vitals, and through continuous monitoring and early detection, we can improve patient outcomes.
My name's Herb. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Bitome. We make a miniaturized MRI for non-invasive measurement of the human hydration state.
Congestive heart failure patients have the buildup of fluid in their body that can be dangerous when it gets to their lungs and they can't breathe. That sends them to the hospital.
What we propose is literally to take our technology, put it in the home with the patient, allow them to manage their disease with minimal oversight from the doctors.
Our device is about the size of a tissue box, and somebody sticks their finger inside of it and gets a reading on the fluid level in their finger.
Something that was previously a room-filling, multi-million-dollar machine is now something that can fit in the palm of your hand and be taken on the go to do point-of-care diagnostics. That's going to save them money more than what they're going to pay for our product by 10x.
Take a number. I was lightning before the thunder. Thunder, 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 thunder.
is my great aunt Penny. And at 96, she's doing really well. I was with her in July for the baptism of her great-grandson. And unfortunately, that weekend, I saw her get rushed to the hospital because she was fluid overloaded from her congestive heart failure. Now, she's okay, but unfortunately, her story is not unique. It's shared by 6 million people in the United States who also have congestive heart failure, or CHF. Decreased cardiac output can lead to congestion, or the buildup of fluid in the body. And when this is not properly managed, patients can get into serious trouble with conditions like pulmonary edema or fluid in the lungs. And this drives up costly readmissions. A major reason for these readmissions is a treatment cycle that is flawed. Besides worsening conditions, the primary tool that these patients have to monitor fluid buildup is a bathroom scale. And when this fails to manage the disease, they frequently go back to the hospital where they're given an acute dose of diuretics and sent home. This is exactly what happened to my great aunt Penny. The cycle repeats itself, and as a result, CHF readmissions cost $17 billion a year in the US. We see this as an opportunity for improvement, and that's where our device comes in. Bitome's device gives patients a tool so that they can measure fluids easily and totally non-invasively at home in as little as 3 seconds. We do this by analyzing the water content of the blood and tissue in their finger using magnetic resonance technology. Most people, even outside of the medical realm, are familiar with MRI. What our team has done is taken the basic underlying physics of an MRI machine and shrunken it down by orders of magnitude, both in size and cost. And this enables a new treatment paradigm which is aimed at reducing readmissions by keeping patients' fluid levels in check at home. Patients can measure both overhydration and dehydration using this device, and using this insight, they can make informed decisions about fluid and salt intake. Meanwhile, we keep the care provider in the loop so that possibly they can even titrate medications before symptoms worsen. Our model is to sell directly to value-based care providers who are properly incentivized to reduce readmissions. Out of the 6 million patients who have CHF, we can conservatively help 50,000 of them if we target accountable care organizations who are implementing telemonitoring strategies. And by charging monthly services or monthly fees for the device and associated services, we can make reasonable revenues with this model. We have indirect competition in 2 areas. Consumer-facing products are measuring proxies for water, and these are inappropriate for medical use. The leading CHF telemonitoring solutions are invasive and very expensive, such as a $50,000 pressure monitor that's embedded in a patient's chest. Our solution is different. We're safe and non-invasive because we use magnets like on your refrigerator and coils like the antenna in your cell phone. We're accurate because we are directly measuring the atomic nuclei in the water in your body. And we're inexpensive. We can make our device for less than it costs to upgrade your smartphone. Since founding the company last year, we have filed non-provisional patents for the technology, and we've built working prototypes of the device. And now, we've participated in the TMCx program to pave the path forward through clinical trials and FDA clearance. My co-founders Herb and Jens have years of experience in developing magnetic resonance technology, and we have a great team of advisors who have experience in areas such as the commercialization of technology and the physiology of human hydration. Today, we're here seeking partnerships for clinical trials and pilot studies, and we're also in the middle of raising our seed round. So please come talk to us afterwards if you're interested. At Bitome, we want to help patients, like my great aunt Penny, to deal with a difficult chronic disease. And that's why we want to put powerful technology into the hands of those who need it the most. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ron Moses. I've been a practicing ENT doctor at the medical center here in Texas for the past 19 years. I thought up the idea of Nano Ear several years ago. It had to do with implanting a hearing aid into the eardrum, which is a revolutionary idea, and we're hoping that it's going to disrupt the hearing aid market.
We're taking away all of the external mechanics and electronics of a hearing aid and putting it right at the tympanic membrane. That just seems to be the ultimate solution for hearing aids, so we're excited to have folks work with us to bring this solution to fruition. right, everybody. Who in the audience knows someone that suffers from hearing loss? It's a majority. Well, you might know or you're familiar with how hearing loss challenges everybody's day-to-day life. Well, I have an aunt. My aunt, she suffers from hearing loss, but she detests the idea of wearing a hearing aid. But this has led to her social isolation and avoiding group environments. Now, the folks that you've identified in my aunt, they're part of 80% that do not accept today's technology to correct their hearing loss. Now, why is that? Mainly it's due to stigma, like my aunt, paying $5,000 to $6,000 for a pair of hearing aids, and the hassle and discomfort of wearing today's technologies. Well, I'm Michael Moore. I am the president and COO of Nano Ear Technologies. We're developing the world's smallest and most discreet hearing aid to increase the adoption and treatment rates for hearing loss. How are we going to do this? We're going to introduce Nano Ear, a micro-implantable hearing aid that is placed across the tympanic membrane. This device receives sound naturally from the ear canal, vibrating the eardrum. This additional vibration will be transferred via the bones of the middle ear to increase one's hearing. Now, this device is implanted in a 5-minute, minimally invasive procedure, the same procedure that is used by ENT surgeons to place ear tubes in children and adults per year, over 1 million times per year. Now is the time for a new solution to treat hearing loss. The National Institute of Medicine and the White House have addressed hearing loss as a national public health issue. The federal focus is mainly based on the lack of treatment, a link between untreated hearing loss and negative health outcomes, and a huge economic impact on the U.S. economy totaling hundreds of billions of dollars. In the U.S. today, there are 44 million hearing impaired. 20% of them adopt today's technology, creating a $1.7 billion market. But the 80% that don't accept today's technology create an opportunity, a $6.8 billion opportunity. Now, Nano Ear, we're positioned to compete in this market to address stigma and comfort, but additionally create additional value. Value because the device is worn continuously. Its wireless rechargeable battery can be charged while you're sleeping. But based on our technology and the placement of this device, we are striving to offer a greater range of hearing improvement. We came to TMCx with 2 patents and a team. But since then, we've developed key advisory relationships and technical relationships, refined our concept, and realized multiple prototypes. Our team, we come each individually with 20 years of experience in medical device development, ENT clinical experience, and startup management. We're supported by our board of advisors who have key clinical experience in developing batteries and MEMS technology. Our plan, we want to complete our proof of concept and clinical models, move forward with our system development, proceed into clinical studies, and have an FDA approval within the next 3 years. To do this, to meet our goals, we have opened our seed round of funding, seeking $1.5 million. We also want to add to our team and our team of advisors in the areas of audiology, regulatory, and reimbursement specialists. So if you're excited about this technology, if you're excited about Nano Ear as much as we're excited about Nano Ear, please come talk to the team. We'd love to have you join us and bring clarity, comfort, and confidence to the hearing impaired. Thank you.
I'm Satya Elumalai. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Multi-Sensor Diagnostics. At Multi-Sensor Diagnostics, we developed a single device that measures 10 different health parameters in under a minute. We put together a cadre of tools that are essential for managing chronic disease patients at home. It's a simple device. You have to put it in your mouth and then you have to breathe through normally. We have proprietary sensors, technology, and algorithm that captures everything in real time and sends it to the cloud. In the long run, it helps identify early signs of clinical deterioration or disease progression. 1 minute of your day to get a comprehensive health assessment.
So come on and take it yourself. Check.
Every single day or every single time when my mom gets hospitalized for a chronic illness, one thing she repeatedly asks me is, could you do something to prevent me from going back to the hospital? The sad reality is, I cannot answer her, neither does our healthcare system. She's not alone. There are more than 50 million patients in the US re-hospitalized for a lot of conditions associated with chronic illness, but these are all preventable hospitalization. For example, COPD, this is the third leading cause of death in the US, contributing to almost $50 billion in annual costs with 1 million readmissions. But the problem is, there's nothing that is available for them today to monitor themselves. They have to literally go to the doctor's office to check their lungs, or the other option is to have a home spirometer, but it's not measuring everything that is associated to the disease. But the other option, the third and the most effective option, is to use devices that are actually measuring everything associated with the COPD patient. But the problem is there are a lot of devices, so it lacks significant patient adherence. Ultimately, they go back to the hospital. That is exactly why we created MouthLab. MouthLab is a non-invasive, rapid medical assessment device that can monitor multiple vital health parameters in 30 seconds. We put together a cadre of tools that are essential for monitoring and managing chronic disease patients at home. Today, MouthLab can be measured using the device and a disposable mouthpiece. You can measure temperature, blood pressure, ECG, blood oxygen saturation, pulse rate, respiratory rate, spirometric lung function, and more, everything in 30 seconds. And we have proprietary sensors, technology, and algorithm that accurately and rapidly captures all these parameters. A tool like this, even if it's used irregularly, could provide more meaningful data points. So we are also shown accuracy through our 52-member clinical study at Johns Hopkins, where we've shown greater level of sensitivity and specificity of our device to the gold standards, and we also patent protected. When it comes to our market, it is tremendous, it's huge. But what we really wanted to focus on is to target the respiratory market, and then we move on to other conditions, chronic conditions. In terms of our competitors, I wouldn't say competitors, but others in the market are basically focused on providing remote patient monitoring devices that are really cumbersome. It's really difficult to use. A patient like my mom is not going to connect to all these different devices with a tablet and all those other activities. That is exactly why we are giving a single device that's very easy to use, and it takes 30 seconds. More than the time and the cost efficiency associated with this device, we provide value to the stakeholders by improving adherence. In terms of attraction, we've been featured in several news articles. Even this morning, we was featured in Fox News. In terms of the competition, we went to several global competitions and won prestigious awards. And we partner with industry leaders and health transformers. Specifically, our time at TMCx has been great. We garnered more traction and also secured some pilot opportunities with major health systems and commercial partners. And in terms of, with all these accomplishments and all these awards, what we're really looking forward is to go and raise $1.5 million to complete our product development so that we could get to our FDA 510(k) clearance next year and launch our products. And our engineers are well on their way to add additional sensors and working really hard at Johns Hopkins. When it comes to our team, it's a group of technologists and medical device industry veterans who have developed several devices as well as commercialized them. And we also surrounded ourselves with relevant experts in a number of fields that is incredibly germane to what we are doing today. When it comes to the opportunity, if you're a health system, I would love to talk to you if you're interested in a chronic disease management market, but we're also looking for clinicians who can pilot our studies and pilot partners and who can champion our studies. When it comes to our investors, we are again seeking pilot partnership, investments. But as a Maryland company, if you invest, you're getting 50% of your money back. What we're really asking the investors is not invest in our company, but invest in your future. So with multi-sensor diagnostic, we aim to change the culture of healthcare monitoring, and we want each and every one of you here who believe in us, who's passionate about caring for your loved ones and for yourself, to join us to make this a reality. Thank you again. Come find me for a demo.
Hi, I'm Ron. I'm here with Ring Medical. Our product is a wearable thermometer for core temperature monitoring for surgical patients. Normal temperature baseline was defined 200 years ago, so it's very outdated and it's not at the individualized baseline. That's why you need continuous monitoring to establish the baseline. Our ultimate goal actually is to provide monitoring for all the 6 vital signs, including temperature, blood pressure, SpO2, heart rate, respiratory rate, and ECG. And I think TMC program is a perfect platform for us to launch the product.
Thunderfall say, well, I'm on the way, the time cold, I wanna be keeping you warm. I got the right temperature for shelter you from the storm. Hold on, girl, I got the right tactics to turn you on.
Hi, in Rain, we developed a wearable thermometer with FDA 510(k) clearance. You may ask why we need another thermometer since there are so many out there. Here is a story from CBS explaining the difference between our product and the rest.
Healthy child, but a few months ago when she spiked a fever, she had a seizure.
And it was in the middle of the night, and so obviously I was really nervous.
Afraid it might happen again, Isla's mom tried a new device called an eye thermometer. Placed under the armpit with an adhesive patch and synced wirelessly with a smartphone or tablet, the device records a child's temperature every 4 seconds. If it's too high or too low, it sends an alert.
It was great because I could get a little sleep and I didn't have to set my alarm every hour to check her, but I also didn't have to wake her up to take her temperature.
We launched the eye thermometer in consumer market in 2015 and have sold more than 100,000 units worldwide. We have collaborated with top clinical institutions to validate our product in the clinical settings. Recently, we won the prize of Philips Wearables Challenge. We are very excited to introduce this new technology to clinical market. Different from the consumer thermometer, a clinical-grade thermometer needs to measure core temperature rather than skin temperature. And the measurement accuracy needs to be validated with the current standard clinical method. Also, the feasibility needs to be evaluated to minimize the impact of the current workflow. Eye thermometer is the most accurate wearable thermometer and the only one has clinical validation. In comparison to the esophageal probe, which is the standard invasive core temperature monitoring in operating room, the difference is only 0.14 Celsius, which is within the clinically accepted range. The study and the results are going to be published by Anesthesia and Analgesia Journal. As of today, we have already collected more than 1.2 million hours of fever data and over 500 clinical cases of core temperature data. The more data we collected, the more accurate our measurement will be in reflecting the core temperature. Our wireless continuous core temperature monitoring system transmits real-time core temperature data via Bluetooth to patient monitor without disrupting the current practice in clinical settings. And our solution can be applied to any patient monitor on the market. In clinical settings, patients' core temperature needs to be monitored and maintained within the normal limits perioperatively. However, the most accurate size for core temperature measurement is also the most invasive, and they are not applicable out of the OR room. The non-invasive offerings only estimate the core temperature, and they are not continuous. Eye thermometer is a perfect solution for core temperature monitoring from pre-op all the way to the post-discharge. Our team has diversified the background of medical device, digital health, R&D, manufacturing, and fast-moving consumer goods. We have raised $8 million from previous round, and we are now seeking $3 million to cover the cost of clinical trials, pilot studies, new product development, and marketing expenses. Please join us to be the game changer of patient monitor. We are Ring Medical, connected health for tomorrow. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm the CEO of Adoc Technologies. In emergency situations like stroke, sepsis, STEMI, every minute matters. So we've developed disposable timers. As soon as a patient comes into the process flow, as soon as they're given from EMS or taken in from the waiting room, we put a wristband on that patient. So that's our time zero. And every single minute that passes is reflected on that time band. Our goal is to substantially decrease treatment time while making sure the clinicians have a better focus on the patient during that entire time. When lives are on the line, the perception of time becomes blurred. Whether it's stroke or sepsis care, the quicker and more consistent, the better. I'm Sarah, and at Doc, we help clinicians anchor their perception of time to the patient. We do this by making time easily and quickly accessible at the point of care with time bands. There are over 130 million emergency events in the US annually, where treatment time is highly correlated to either lifelong disability or full recovery. In each case, care needs to be provided in a timely manner. For instance, in stroke, where every second a clot persists, brain cells die, to heart attack, where muscle cells are also lost by the second. When your protocol is dependent on time, your perception of that time is incredibly important to make the best decision possible. These are some of the most important critical care timeframes and their associated benchmarks. Each is recorded and vital to improving patient outcomes. Even more, hospitals use these to keep and achieve certifications while also collecting payments. Despite all this, clinicians are asked to keep their own performance metrics. That's like asking a professional athlete to keep their own stats. It's hard. Existing tools keep time siloed in the mind of a single person, scribbled out in little scraps and stickers, and locked up in electronic records. If you're lucky, you'll get one of these per case. Each of these tools is error-prone and does very little to help realign a distracted clinician or collect accurate time data. At Doc, we've developed a simple digital display that provides accurate information at a glance, so that when a patient comes into your hospital, whether it's a diagnosis or suspected case, you put it on and that's your time zero. It counts up minute by minute, so that if you look at the patient, you immediately know where you are in your process and what needs to happen next. In the hectic world of healthcare, we've unlocked a piece of process information that is surprisingly hard to find when needed. Early results with visual management have increased protocol compliance, and specifically in stroke, significantly reduced time to treatment, so much so that the American Heart Association has endorsed using a timer as one of the best practices to decrease door-to-needle times. Our clinical traction includes a number of paid pilots in sepsis, stroke, and neurosurgery. Additionally, we've secured a letter of intent representing a multi-million-dollar annual contract. Our major milestones include 4 allowed patents, with more pending, an FDA listing of our first product, secured and strong relationships with our suppliers and manufacturers, and with our beta launch, we've become the first mover in this new product category. Our go-to-market strategy focuses on acute care, cases like stroke and sepsis. Other timed events in the healthcare environment will lead the way to a larger market. Our team has built, grown, and sold companies, both the medical and informatics spaces, making us uniquely positioned to launch this product in the medical space. We've surveyed hundreds, if not thousands, of clinicians in over 50 hospitals across many specialties. And we know that when technology comes into healthcare, it brings with it more complex and heavier workloads. Our product's just the opposite, and we're committed to bringing tools to those on the front lines. In January, we're going to be doing a national launch in partnership with a national medical organization where we will be introduced to every emergency department in the nation. We need to move fast to meet this phenomenal opportunity. Please find me if you can help us get the capital and talent we need to make this happen. Today, we're a timer, and tomorrow, we're still going to be a timer. It's simple, and we know when you put time in the line of sight, it means better quality of care. Whether it's treating a stroke patient 10 minutes earlier or catching the attention of a passing nurse, our goal is to get more eyes on the patient. We're Doc, and we put time in sight.
My name is Matt Kessinger. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Forest Devices. What we've built is a device that EMTs and paramedics can use to quickly and accurately identify stroke. Stroke causes more permanent disability than anything else on Earth. The only way to prevent that disability is to treat it quickly. And medics right now don't have a way to capture objective data. So I partnered with an electrical engineer to create AlphaStroke. Just like a medic puts EKG electrodes onto your chest, so they would put AlphaStroke electrodes onto your head and accurately identify if you're having a stroke.
Where's your emergency?
We need an ambulance.
What's the address?
300 Appaloosa Lane.
Okay, we'll get them on their way.
Before going to medical school, I used to take calls like these when I worked as a medic on an ambulance. Pre-hospital personnel are called on to care for patients with all types of injuries and illnesses. And the decisions that they make and the actions that they take can dramatically affect the lives of their patients. Take stroke, for instance. It's the 4th leading cause of death, but it's the #1 leading cause of disability. Most people will live through a stroke, but many of those will live permanently disabled. And the only way to prevent this disability is early identification and early treatment. But only 1 in 5 hospitals is a designated stroke center, and only 1 in 50 can provide all treatments for stroke 24/7. And this is why the decisions that paramedics make are so important. I learned how important it was my first month on the job. We were called to care for a woman in her 60s who had suddenly become weak and confused. We put an EKG on, IV, clinical exam, and we knew that there were half a dozen reasons why she could have the symptoms that she did. So we took her to the nearest hospital. There she was scanned and diagnosed with stroke. But it wasn't a stroke hospital. So she had to be transported again to the right hospital. We made the wrong call. I felt horrible about it for years. It was not until much later when I was conducting peer-reviewed research in the pre-hospital stroke identification that I learned how common it was. Half of all stroke patients that get on ambulances are missed. Now, we know that time is brain, but when the wrong call is made and that second transport is required, the average delay in definitive treatment is nearly 2 hours. And our treatments, they're time limited, which means that that delay reduces the efficacy of those treatments and in many cases prevents those patients from getting any stroke treatments at all. That's the problem, and this is the solution. AlphaStroke, the EKG for the brain, with electrodes that just go on the head and a couple more that go on the wrist. It can give to the provider the information they need to make those decisions that are so important. By getting that patient to the right hospital the first time, we remove this delay, we decrease the time to treatment, we increase the efficacy and the total number of treatments provided, and we reduce permanent disability. And hospitals see the value in this. Academic centers, private hospitals, and rural hospitals even have written us letters of intent telling us that they want to purchase these devices and put them on the ambulances that they own and the ambulances that they contract with. Now, we're about 2 years old, and we have completed successfully our first multi-center clinical trial. Please come to our table later and love to share the data with you. We have an FDA-confirmed regulatory pathway through official meetings that were conducted last year. We won the Rice Business Plan competition as well as a few others. Besides that, we've raised nearly $1 million so far. Importantly, our second-generation device was built using a quality management system, which is something you don't often see in med device companies at our stage. And this is the team that's done it. We bring a diverse set of skills from each of our backgrounds. And they are here today, so I hope you'll seek them out and talk with them. But what we're here looking for today
are emergency physician advisors. Our first study took place on the neurology floors with the neurologists. Our next study is in the emergency setting. Hospital partners. The next study will be 6 to 8 centers. We've got 4 lined up, and we're looking to fill those out. And finally, like everybody else here, we're looking for investors to partner with. We're Force Devices. We're helping providers make the stroke decisions that matter.
We're not doing walk-up music this time. Thank you. So what do you think? 18 companies, what'd you think? Pretty good? The diversity of those products, the quality of the presentations, the quality of the products, the quality of the teams, their passion, obviously that comes through in terms of what each of them are trying to build, the patients that they're trying to help through their products, really remarkable. So unbelievably, that brings us to the end of our X5 cohort and the end of the program. I want to ask all the companies, come on up on stage one final time. Come get your round of applause. Come on up here, guys. There's more of them than I thought. I get a high five? No? Just a little one? All right. You gotta do the high five? We didn't practice the handshakes ahead of time, so build that into the time. Luckily, we're ahead of schedule, which again never happens, so we had time for all the handshakes. How about one more round of applause for these amazing entrepreneurs, amazing companies right here. Unbelievable. And they're sticking around, so we've got networking for till 7 o'clock, so nobody leave. We got food, we got beverages. They've, you saw pictures of their devices. Most of them have their devices over at the table, so really check it out for the demo and everything. It's going to be amazing, so we've got plenty of time. I also, we wouldn't, this is our 5th class here, I would think, and a couple people came over to me in the break, and they've been through each and every one of the demo days we've done through X5. I got a lot of nice compliments. They said, you guys keep getting better and better each time, so thank you for that. I hope that's true. But in order to do that, we feel like we've learned along the way as well. But we've also assembled an amazing team. So as the director, I get to take credit for all of the work that the real team does. So I want to bring them up on stage because without them, this wouldn't exist. And so come on up here, the TMCx team. In 4.5 months from the selection process, the 200-300 applications we see, filtering through them, doing the interviews, bringing the companies in, the curriculum hours, the office hours, the one-on-one meetings, all of it, ultimately results in what you guys see here today. Hard work from these entrepreneurs, great ideas, great products, and then the hard work and commitment of my team too. So I thank you all so much. I know they do as well. And amazing program for everyone. Stick around, everybody's gonna be here, lots of networking. For those of you who are investors, if you left your checkbook in the car, I know, well, they'll wait, they'll stick around and they'll wait for that as well. Thank you all again, most of you advisors and contribute to this program, and you are a big part of the success in getting these companies engaged at the hospitals and the advising and mentoring that you do. We couldn't do this without you all as well. So thank you for the continued support. Thank you for being here, and enjoy the networking. And we'll see you for the next class, Digital Health, which starts in January, and we'll see you for that, X6. Thank you. Happy birthday to you.